Space games are interesting. If you look up space games on Google, the results can be overwhelming due to the plethora of different ways people interpret the genre. You've got build a spaceship type of game, mine materials for no good reason type of game, hide from a scary alien type of game, shoot that scary alien type of game, shoot a spaceship type of game. But the common connection between these games is, well, not only are they set in space, but they all highlight discovery, for the most part. Whether you're discovering a new planet in No Man's Sky, discovering a way to tweak your vessel to reach new planets in Kerbal Space Program, or finding/uncovering secrets and locations in Destiny, they all have to do something with discovery. Now, I don't have a PhD in space games, nor have I played that many in the first place, but under the space discovery genre, I believe one game stands out amongst the others. And that game would be, well, you want to take a guess?
What are you doing? Why is Autopilot flying into the fucking sun?
Outer Wilds was developed by Mobius Digital, published by Annapurna Interactive, and was released in 2019. Now, this is the part of the video where I stop reading straight off the Wikipedia page, because I, like many others, believe it's best to experience this game with as little information known about it as possible. Before we dive in, this game is entirely focused on discovery, so I cannot stress enough that it's best you go into this game completely blind. But if you still want to be convinced to play this game without spoilers, check out Daniel Netzel's video, which I've linked in the description. I think he did a fantastic job at describing the game without ruining the magic. I'm gonna go into less detail than he did, but I'll try to sum up the game as best as possible by giving as little information as possible. Outer Wilds is an indie game, and like most indie games I've played, you can really tell the developers poured their blood, sweat, and tears into this project. The game is a first-person puzzle game where, like I said before, the main focus is on discovering the world's mysteries. The game is jam-packed with secrets and other cool things to learn, unlike some of the other open-world games I've played, which seem just like an empty sandbox. Rather than having this seemingly endless galaxy to explore, the game takes place in one pocket-sized solar system, with these little planets that are chock full of things to discover, making every single square foot of the planets worth checking out. It's very easy to get immersed in this game because, aside from launching the game or, dying, there are no loading screens. There are also no invisible boundaries, so if you want to fly out into the endless abyss, nothing's stopping you. In the game, you are caught in a time loop, kind of like Groundhog's Day. Each time loop is 22 minutes, and everything that happens in the game happens in real time. Different events take place at various times and on different planets, so it feels like at the start of the time loop, you've got to come up with some kind of schedule or plan to make sure that you get everything you want to do done in that loop. What seems like the primary goal of this game is to discover why the loop is happening. And the only way you can achieve that is by exploring and uncovering mysteries, which you solve by completing puzzles and reading text. It feels so good channeling your inner detective and uncovering these mysteries, with the only reward not being some fancy new spaceship or a new gun that will one-shot enemies. It's the newfound knowledge you've gained, which leads you to more mysteries waiting to be solved, with each mystery solved leading you to the end of the game. In the game, discoveries create objectives, which are marked on a map for places of interests and tasks you want to accomplish. And when you start uncovering more information, you start putting the pieces together for solutions to a particular mystery, making it feel like the number one thing that you want to do. While playing in my college dorm, with the mood lighting set to the max and the window open, I would stay up past my bedtime because I was so close to uncovering a certain mystery. It's kind of difficult to describe this without giving an example, but If you've already played this game, you know exactly what I mean. Also, next time you try to play a game, try setting the atmosphere around you to match the game you're playing. Might seem kinda hard to do, but for example, if you're playing Doom, set some LEDs to red and light a candle or something. Trust me, it will make the game a lot more immersive if you're into that thing. To travel from one planet to the next, you're given a spaceship, also known as the spaceship. Oh my. With flying around in this game, there is some practice needed to get used to the controls and the gravity in different planets, but once you get it down, it feels amazing to zip around this handcrafted solar system, which is mainly owed to the fantastic rooted physics engine. Sometimes I would load up the game just so I could fly around the planets and inside of chasms like it was some scene straight out of Star Wars. That's how good the flying mechanics feel in this game. Outside the ship, you are given a spacesuit that operates similarly to the spaceship, but with limited fuel and oxygen. So that means not only do you have to account for the 22-minute time loop, but you also have to take into account how much oxygen and fuel you are using, so you don't get game ended. Speaking of getting game ended, your character feels very fragile, like a sheet of glass in this game. You can't just ram your spaceship into a planet and expect to come out on top without a scratch. You'll probably end up 6 feet underground, or in the sun, or underwater, or 0 feet? Is that a thing? Now let's talk about the atmosphere of Outer Wilds. For me, the atmosphere in video games is everything, and I think the devs nailed it out of the park with this game. From the art direction to even the music, they all work together to create an outstanding experience. The graphics are definitely not the most realistic in the industry, but I personally like them that way, as the game can feel incredibly lonely. Aside from the species from your home planet, plus a couple other characters, there's no one around. You're completely alone. And the graphics, in my opinion, add some sense of warmth with the vibrant colors and soft shading that's used. With the game feeling like there's no one around, it actually made me feel more immersed in the game, as I could just focus on solving puzzles and discovering things, without being interrupted by some NPC for the most part. Now earlier, I mentioned that music adds atmosphere to this game. Each planet is equipped with its own unique sound that's fitting to its location. But I'm not going to go too much into detail on the music, but the soundtrack for this game is fucking brilliant. If you want a more in-depth discussion on why this game's soundtrack is so good, I highly recommend checking out this video by Scruffy that's on screen, and that'll also be linked in the description. He does a great job at describing why the music fits so well with the game's atmosphere. The composer for the soundtrack, Andrew Prallo, was my 4th most listened to artist on Spotify last year, which is saying something. When I was in college, I would just throw on the game's soundtrack in the background and study. So if you aren't interested in checking out the game, at least check out the soundtrack. I can't recommend it enough. Now, I know it seems a little clickbaity that I titled this video, "A Game Nobody Should Talk About." I'm literally talking about it right now. Obviously, you can talk about this game. You should talk about this game. But why don't people? Since almost everything feels like a spoiler in this game, the community has done a great job of shielding new players from spoilers. Even the subreddits make it hard to be spoiled. I got stuck at this one point in the game, so I gave up and went online to find a solution, but when reading through threads on the game's subreddit, I found it was so challenging to determine what I had to do because people would nudge you in the right direction instead of just giving you a flat-out answer. Where then you felt like a genius after figuring out a puzzle's answer, even if you've gotten a little help from the community. So unless you're actively looking for them, I find it very hard to find spoilers in this game, which is all attributed to the community. Admittedly, I found it somewhat difficult to get into this game when I first started playing. This genre didn't really seem like my cup of tea since I was more into action/adventure style games. I feel like it takes me quite a while to get really immersed into a game I'm playing. So for the first couple hours playing this game, I had no fucking clue in hell what I was doing. I was just flying around to different planets, going to things that I thought looked cool, and brushing over scrolls of text I found in the game. I genuinely went into this game blind, and I had no idea what the point of this game was. Like, I actually didn't know anything. I just knew it was about space, and I was like, oh yeah, that's cool. But then I started reading these ancient scriptures, and it hit me. oh, I actually have to read this shit? Once I figured that out, I completely dropped the game due to my mold-infested brain not wanting to read anything, but instead wanting to doom scroll TikTok for the rest of the day. But then, one day I was taking a look at my Steam library, and I said, I spent more than $30 on this shit. I might as well beat it. So then I started playing again, and this time I was paying close attention to the dialogue and text. After a couple hours of playing and reading, I was hooked. This game is heavily story-driven, and if it weren't for the fantastic writing, I wouldn't be talking about this game right now. While in college, I made it a ritual that after dinner, I would turn on some mood lighting, open the window, take a fat rip from the Benjamin Franklin, and start playing. And with how depressing this sounds, this had to be one of the peaks of my college experience. It was nice to escape from all the studying and socialization and just completely immerse myself in this game. Albeit a little inebriated, this game will always have a special place in my heart because it gave me somewhere to escape to when things got stressful. Okay, that was grim, but still I found myself comparing life to some aspects of this game. Now, please don't mind the tinfoil hat, but the way I see it, the game can kind of be compared to adulthood. A person leaving their home and adventuring on. But life can turn into a loop, and it seems like days, weeks, and years feel repeated. I've certainly have had this happen to my own life, and I feel like most of you watching have too. So, one lesson I've learned from this game is that we should use the time we have wisely and make the most of it, kind of like in the game. I've read stories about how this game has impacted and helped people with their existentialism, and I can completely understand where they are coming from. But I guess the only way that you can understand what I'm talking about is by playing Outer Wilds.